My advice has always been force the man to lead, because if you don't force the man to lead, he'll never lead. Um,
My whole thing is like in I don't know if wait is a good word because you're not
waiting,
waiting.
yeah.
You're being present and feeling what the moment is. It's when I hear wait, I feel like you say like, "Oh, wait," and just move me.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
like I don't want that. It's like your mentality isn't as a follower isn't just be sit there and move
No, I
me.
agree.
Your mentality is like I want to move, but I want to be present to what you want to do
Yeah,
and what we're
and I
gonna
want to be
do.
sure like this is the right thing.
Yeah.
Having a starting point of knowing the music and seeing if your musicality syncs up with the guys is a really good start.
Yeah, I would say it does. It does benefit, but I also say that it can also, anything that's too much can also lead you down the wrong path as well. Because then you start to anticipate as well,
Yeah,
because you know what the music's gonna be.
yeah, okay, I can see that.
Yeah, like, oh, it's the piano part here, and I want to do the, but they're not leading that, and you're just gonna do it, right? We are back, and on this episode, we're gonna talk about the tango conversation and what has evolved, and what we would like to say the modern era of Argentine tango, where is there's a lot of talk about obviously tango when we dance. It is a conversation between two people that dance, and that conversation has a give and take and back and forth, and both parties are involved. Whereas a lot of people say it's evolved from the one-sidedness of a conversation that it once was many, many years ago, where it's like the leader does everything and the follower doesn't have much to contribute or whatnot, right? In this case. Um, for me, I think there's beauty in obviously being able to play back and forth like it's a game, kind of like it's an exchange of ideas, and you can give moments for your follower to flourish. But I feel like in in more recent times, it's gone so far in that direction that now it's almost like, is there even a lead? Should a lead even exist? And how important is it? If like, should there be like no an absence of a lead, or maybe no one leads? Maybe this is this kind of synergy between two parties, and like, it's like I take over the lead and then you take over the lead, and we switch back and forth, which is a different dynamic. I've done that myself before when I led and followed before with another person, both women and men. So it doesn't not gender specific, but I've done both, where it's like a song where at the end of a practice we were just like I'm leading, and then they take over the lead, and then I follow, and then I take over, and we switch back and forth. And but I feel like there has been more problems than not, especially with newer dancers that kind of get the impressions of like, well, yeah, like, I should have my input and I should just do whatever. I should be able to do what I want to do in the dance. And I think there is some limitations to that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I mean, first, I come from the school of thought. I was kind of raised old school in terms of in tango, where like the guy needs to lead everything, and then later on, I kind of like mellowed out a bit, and I'm like, because before, I used to be so constrictive, because I used to be anti-embellishment. Like, oh man, like a girl should like when she embellishes, she like ruins my timing. I used to
Taking my time, stealing my time
I
away.
know, like I have to reroute everything. It's like it takes time. Don't ruin my dance. I used to be that guy, but
Isn't that like the premise of Tango Lesson in a way, where like as a student she evolves and starts to like, and they do that show, and then she steals his like she eventually steals Pablo Veron's time.
yeah,
Performance?
it definitely is.
If I remember that correctly.
I believe so. But see, my problem is that like I was so hardwired into that, because I had this master plan in my head, and the thing is, that was my problem. My problem was I didn't know how to let go. I didn't know how to be more flexible. So that was kind of like the downfall of my dance, and probably one of the reasons why I didn't get as far as I did back then.
That's interesting, because I was obviously, and this makes sense. I mean, obviously, me and Robert are super close, but it actually makes sense because I'm the direct opposite, right? I had a partner, Rochelle, who I had to encourage. I wanted her to do more things. Like, she was good at embellishing, and I wanted her to contribute more because I was inspired by the dynamics of like the Javier Geraldine thing, which was like, it's a conversation between two things, and I listen, and she does thing, and and it's a part of that. And it's almost like my dance needed more directness from the beginning, because I was more of the flexible, open-ended type.
But going to where I was wanting to go is that I think the more you have this back and forth conversation, the more skilled both parties need to be.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's kind of where the downfall of this idea comes from, because I think a lot of people approach this idea without like, I don't want to say prerequisite skills, but they don't have enough sensitivity to each other to say, oh, you're taking the lead now, and maybe it's for me to let go. Like, can they recognize that? Can they let go? Then do they know how to follow properly, and can the other person lead them properly without like a difference of handholds?
It makes me think of I feel like in anything that you do that requires a lot of technique, once you get mature enough and once you get experienced enough, I think in almost every form, you start to break down that system of technique and start to dispose of it. Once you learn all the rules, then you can break the rules.
Yeah.
But I feel like now a lot of people start with just like, yeah, you can break the rules.
There are no rules.
You haven't learned the rules yet. Like, you haven't like set the time and experience to put down the foundation. And so I feel like that's the downfall. And I see a lot of my students when I teach on Mondays, like after their third lesson, they were just like, well, I want to learn more embellishments. And it's like, the embellishments come with the timing, and you haven't even gotten the timing down to be able to contribute embellishments.
To me, it's the same. Where like the same idea where the girl goes, I want to learn embellishment. It's like the guy goes, I want to learn back staccatos.
Yeah.
And you're like
you can't even walk. You can't even embrace. I want to learn back staccatos.
I know.
I don't learn ganchos, back staccatos, and high boleos.
But at the same time, I was that person too. So everyone's got to go through that. Everyone's got to go through that whole fancy step thing, that fanciness, that being enchanted by fancy things they can't do, until they realize, okay, there's something called fundamentals, and I need to work on that. And it takes time.
I had a recent discussion with a couple of my Tango friends. We just had dinner together. There's like 7 of us, and we're all very experienced dancers. We've all been dancing more than at least a decade. Like the minimum is a decade or more. And it was kind of one of those conversations that I kind of rued the day. I never wanted to be like the old timer being like, man, these kids today, man, they don't know like what they're doing. And it ended up being that, right? It's like, what's up with these dancers today? They don't learn technique. Like, what happened? Like, they're just missing the fundamentals and the foundation of technique. And so I just got to that conversation where I never wanted to go to. We're just like, we're the old timers, just like looking down on the new kids coming up, like, man, back in my day, like, what is all this new stuff? Like,
I'm always saying, get off my lawn, kids. Get off my floor. No, but really, I get where you're coming from, and I do feel that sometimes. But I think one of the big, I don't want to say it's a bad thing, but I do want to say, you got to go through, your hoops first.
But no one wants to go through the hoops, especially with technology today, and you see on social media, and things are a lot quicker. People don't want that.
Yeah, but I think sometimes you need to sit people down and show them something, side by side. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a person who has the skills to have a back and forth conversation.
Yeah.
This is a person who's having the back and forth conversation but doesn't have the skills. Which do you like better?
Yeah.
And the problem is that when you don't have that side by side comparison, they're just gonna go, oh, that looks great, because all they see is more flashy stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But so I'm gonna kind of change gears a little bit on this, and I'm gonna bring it to salsa. And the reason why I'm gonna bring
Are you bringing it to salsa because I just told you I went to salsa last night?
No, I'm bringing it to salsa because all my salsa friends complain about this. So I don't know if it's true or not, because I've taken a few salsa classes. I've went to 1 or 2 salsa socials. I don't dance salsa. Right?
I don't dance salsa either. My roommate took me to a salsa event, and it wasn't one of those beginner-friendly ones. It was one of those huge space, bunch of people dancing, and he was just like, "Yeah, let's go." And this guy already has dancing experience with salsa, and I have none. I have not even taken a lesson. But here he goes walking around like, "Hey, my friend over there, he's a champion tango dancer." I'm like, "Oh my god." Are you? There's no crossover here. I haven't even taken a lesson.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a salsa.
Yeah, I thought movement is movement.
Movement is is movement, but there are definitely crowd techniques that are definitely specialized.
But the reason why I brought up salsa is because a lot of my salsa friends complain about this idea of there not being this lead and follow, and because you don't need to lead and follow anymore because everyone just does the choreography. Like as long as they move on 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, and if they want to do a turn, the guy raises their hands on 5, and the girl does a turn automatically. So so they appreciate tango because it's like the men really need to lead, and because if you don't lead, nothing happens.
But I feel like a lot of dancing, and especially in the States, a lot of dancers get tuned into the choreography per se.
Yeah.
And so they don't actually let the lead happen. They guess it and they just assume it. It's like, oh, this is back step cross. Oh, this is forward ocho. I'm gonna do my forward ocho. So it's not actually a lead. It's actually you doing the thing that you think it is.
Yeah, so the anticipation.
Yes.
And then like the guy just trying to like duct tape everything together.
Yes, exactly.
But that's where I'm getting at is that like, to me the beauty of the dance is in the conversation. But if you're not even the whole idea is the girl could have her conversation and have her point of view in this back and forth, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is if we're having this conversation, we're both on the same topic. But if I start bringing up dinosaurs and you start bringing up, Pluto, and science fiction movies, we're not having a conversation. We're just two people talking.
Two people just saying things
in the same room.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel the same thing happens when you don't have the skills to actually be sensitive to each other in this dance. So they complain about that in salsa, and I'm kind of seeing that happen in tango, where like, but because we can't say these, we can't go out and be like, no, there's a lead and follow. No, like, try to be accommodating to the guy because it's not politically correct, because it's like, oh, you're just a privileged guy, and then it's like this whole like, this whole like, we're not just a follower, we're not passive. Like I'm not asking you to be passive. I'm asking you to be like to work as a team, and that's.
But then it's like a chicken and egg thing, because there are going to be some women or followers that are going to say like, well, the leaders just don't lead it correctly. They don't. It's not, their lead is not clear, and so I must then add on and do it myself.
Yeah, which goes back to the
chicken and egg thing.
But it goes back to the follower's dilemma: do you move, or do you wait? My advice has always been force the man to lead, because if you don't force the man to lead, he'll never lead.
My whole thing is like I don't know if wait is a good word, because you're not waiting.
Yeah.
You're being present and feeling what the moment is. It's when I hear wait, I feel like you say like, oh, wait, and just move me. It's like I don't want that. It's like your mentality isn't, as a follower, isn't just be sit there and move me.
No, I agree.
Your mentality is like, I want to move, but I want to be present to what you want to do.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do.
I want to be sure what like this is the right thing.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
Like Javier made over the weekend at Gavito, he made a great point. Like Javier Rodriguez, he was talking about like ladies, like stop cutting off like the future for the man, like the leader here, because when you do your step, irregardless of the lead, if you just do it on your own, you are cutting my possibilities for the future of what I want to do in the future. Because as I'm trying to lead like a back step, for example, and you already do the back step, I can't do anything after that because I have to then catch up to your anticipated back step.
Yeah.
And so it cuts off the future for the lead. So I can't do anything else. I'm victim to that thing.
Yeah, and then all you do is chasing.
Yeah, you're just chasing instead of creating. And so I thought it was a good way of expressing that.
Yeah, I think it is a good way of expressing that. But then it's also like let's flip it on the other spectrum. It's like, now how do you get a person like in your case, if you want someone to do more than just follow, how do you help someone find that balance? Because it is a tricky balance. It's tricky balance from a man's side of over leading and then being too floppy and like doing nothing.
Yeah.
And also, I think there's a tricky balance on the ladies' side too, or the follower side, because men follow also. How do you find that balance?
And this is the thing when it comes to more experience. I find that in the beginning as a follower, I think it is much easier to be an advanced beginner as a follower than compared to a leader. As things progress, I actually think the graph switches, and so it actually gets harder as a follower as you become better as a follower.
Yeah.
And becomes progressively a little bit more easier as a leader. And that's to say because as a follower, now you not only know the steps, you not only know what the patterns are, most of the common patterns and things that people do, but now you have to know the timing. Now you have to know how people lead it, the subtleties, the nuances, all these things. And so when a beginning follower is looking at an advanced follower, what they're doing is like, oh, but I like the way that they move their leg here and they add this thing, this tap here, but like they've already mastered all the fundamental things of changing their weight on time, like figuring out how their brace is and like moving with the embrace and your axis. And then by the time you see all the other stuff, which is the nice adornments and embellishments, like that is like the cherry on top. And I feel like so many followers want to start with, I want the cherry first. It's like, you can't get the cherry first. You have to build from the bottom up, you know?
Yeah, but but at the same time, I also think that that focus on the wrong thing or the things that are not fundamental is true across the board. Again, we talk about the Vaxicata all the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can tell people like, yes, focus on your fundamentals, right? But I think that doesn't really. I guess what is the practice to find that balance between like being plain Jane and like just only doing what you're told or doing what's being led or whatever.
It's a tough balance. Yeah, it's a tough balance.
I think for me, it's more about, I would say it's focusing more on musicality because, it's kind of funny because every time I go to a musicality class, I see a lot of men.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of ladies. I mean, there are ladies there, but I don't see a lot of ladies. And usually the ladies I see are the ladies who want to lead.
Yeah.
I don't see, it's very rare that I see someone there who either only follows or primarily follows, And I think, you talk about the timing, the timing, the embellishments. I think that timing comes with knowing the music.
It does. It helps significantly because you feel it. You exude a feeling in your dance because of the way you interpret the music for yourself. But sometimes when you're following somebody, they have their own music that they're listening to, and it might not be exactly what you're also listening to. So you have to follow that instinct.
Yeah, I agree. But
aside from your own musicality.
Yeah, but what I mean is just but helping knowing the music and feeling the music, and then dancing with your your specific musicality, kind of gives the guys more options. Go, oh, I'm feeling her natural inclination to do something.
Yeah.
Or like you start vibing together, and then it's like, okay, now there's more synergy. Okay. I guess it's hard for me to really pinpoint what it is. Because it's hard to say, oh, well, it's just a vibe. And how do you get vibes to sync? It's we don't have a Vulcan mind meld or anything like that,
Yeah.
But I think having a starting point of knowing the music and seeing if your musicality syncs up with the guys is a really good start.
Yeah, I would say it does. It does benefit, but I also say that it can also, anything that's too much can also lead you down the wrong path as well, because then you start to anticipate as well, because you know what the music's going to be.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
Yeah, oh, it's the piano part here, and I want to do the, but they're not leading that, and you're just going to do it, right?
Yeah, but I guess sometimes if the lead relaxes, you can still do it as long as you're still on the same foot, right?
But again, what if I'm preparing to do something else and you're doing this thing that's I can't set up for the thing that I want to do.
Yeah, you know what would be good, and I think this is something that I suggested a long time ago, and I tried to do, but then I kind of fell off the side. But it would be nice if classes had a 5 or 10 minute connection embrace exercise you have your whole find your axis exercise in the that's kind of your shtick in the very beginning. Find your axis, left foot, shift to here, shift there, shift forward, shift back, right? But it would also be nice to also see people do an embrace connection exercise just like 5 minutes, like before class, like or at the start of class, each class, just so that people have this idea of connection. Because sometimes like we just jump straight in, like, hey, embrace, let's go, you know, and we don't spend enough time like, hey, we're gonna breathe together, you know, we're going to have this embrace, and we're not going to do anything. We're going
true.
to, you know.
I feel like most classes are designed for open embrace, and then everyone dances close embrace at the Milonga.
Yeah.
It's like a different thing. Like, wait, in class, everything is open. We're doing all these big things with big movements, and then you get to the Milonga, it's like everyone's dancing in something that I didn't even train for.
Yeah.
And so, what was the point of of doing all that stuff when the actual thing is actually completely different?
Well,
it's like the test is on a different chapter of a book that I actually read.
Yeah, no, yeah, I get it. But like, I guess for me, it's more of to me, like, the technique is the same, almost the same in close, open and close.
Of course, but it's
It feels different.
it feels much different.
Yeah.
Yes, it's much different.
And then you have like, you have additional techniques like the roll.
Yeah,
or
and you're talking about people in class that are most likely beginner to intermediate dancers, and
Yeah.
like not experienced. So
yeah,
it's gonna be drastically different.
it is. It is.
Yeah.
But you know, I kind of want to start going to open and close embrace now, but it's like that's gonna like derail us. Like that's another topic, man. Like it really is another topic, because like we can spend hours on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, but going back to communication, like if some lady just wants to do her thing, you know, and nothing wrong with that. It's just not my cup of tea. Like, how would you suggest, like, hey, let's start having a conversation rather than you doing your thing and I'm just standing here?
Thing is, like, I don't mind if you are changing your weight deliberately. The thing is, like, the thing that throws me off is when you change your weight too quickly, and then I can't. There's nothing to adjust with someone who changes their weight too fast. You can't do anything. And so I've realized the more experienced dancers, whether they're professionals, performers, maestros, the milongueros, whatever they are, you will see that the most experienced people never change their weight too quick. If anything, they feel like they change their weight slower.
Yeah.
Right? And I know why. Because if you change your weight quickly, there is no resolve to that. It's like you just killed everything by changing your weight too quickly. If you change your weight too slow, you can adjust, right? You can just then slow down. You can just. But if you quickly change your weight and don't compress into the floor, it's over. And so I feel like a lot of dancers, especially here in the States, change their weight way too quickly. They actually don't settle their weight in pivots. They don't settle their weight in the walk. They feel like they have to get to the next thing, get to the next thing, get to the next thing.
Yeah, and then always like falling into it rather than like making a decision like I'm going to go here.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I totally agree with you with that, because I think that when you actually like. I challenge people to watch professional performers, right? And you'll notice, especially like they do have this weight change. It's very deliberate. Where even on the slower stuff, it's like you can totally see like them settling into their hip and into their foot. It's a really beautiful thing. It's quite an amazing art piece when done exquisitely, you know. And I think we don't spend the time to do that, because it's like, oh, because you think of finishing on the 8. And then, oh, it's a 1, gotta go, you know? Where like finish on the 6 and spend 7 and 8 to like have that weight change and let's like spend this time to breathe and be with your partner, and like, hey, before we to reset and go and then get ready to go back on the 1 again. I mean, that's if you're into the counting system like I am, you know?
Yeah, I feel like so many people want to move, but they don't want to connect. Yeah. It's a different.
Yeah, I think the one thing I do for me is that like I engage my lats more, because many times when I feel like I'm leading like a runaway train, is because like she doesn't have an embrace. Like she's, I'm dancing with spaghetti arms, you know, and I feel like the more I engage my lats, maybe she might engage into the embrace more. Doesn't work all the time, but 50-50. Just so like we can find common ground. Maybe I'll slow down more. Maybe I'll stop and wait for her to finish her like 100 ochas and see if like, did she get the clue?
I mean, the 50-50 thing is an interesting thing because I don't think it's 50-50 in Tango.
Oh no, I meant 50-50 mean like 50% success rate.
Yeah.
Like,
But I'm just saying the 50-50 thing in terms of like lead follow. I don't think it's that. I think it's more 80-20 actually.
yeah.
80% lead and 20% that kind of thing.
I tend to agree with you, but I think the better way to say it is I'm dancing for her. And in a sense, she should be dancing for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and so it's like the same.
Help me, help you. Right? That's what it comes down to.
No, it's like I was like I'm open to it. I'm like I'm trying to make the dance as comfortable as possible for you.
Yeah.
And my dance, I want to show that I am worthy to dance with you.
Yes. Help me, help you.
And
Yes.
and at the same time, it's like show me that you are dancing through me. Like that you are dancing with me and through me, not this whole like. I mean, if you want to do your thing, like signal to me that you want to do this thing, and like and I'm like, okay, can we do it here? Can we do it there? But if it's just like off the rails, I'm like, God,
Yeah. But yeah, let us know what you think about this whole dynamic or this kind of modern thing of just like this, they don't have to lead everything and like it's a tricky one because I believe in that too, right? I believe that both parties have a contribution, but I feel like that contribution is kind of misinterpreted in many ways and kind of it's kind of gone down this really interesting path that we've seen in the last few years, and especially for newer dancers. I'm not sure if they're getting the right information or if they're getting the right idea or the impression. But let us know what you think in the comment section, and thank you all so much for all your support. It was great to see a lot of people at the festival, Gavito Tango Festival in LA. We do this podcast, and we're just talking to a blank camera, but it's nice when we actually get to see some of the people that actually watch the podcast and then remind ourselves that, it's like we're trying to contribute, we're trying to do have a discussion, bring in ideas that can possibly influence other people. And so it's nice to receive a lot of the positive feedback we got from so many of you over the festival, and it was much appreciated. So thank you all so much for your support and your contributions, and let us know in the comments. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Left Foot, Right Foot.
We appreciate your support, and make sure you click that subscribe button and that like button. It really helps with the algorithm, and also you receive all our latest updates. Thank you.